Good morning. Welcome to the Sonoma County Master Gardeners Zoom Talk. I am Bonnie Gold, a Master Gardener from the class of 2018, and I will be your moderator today. This talk is being recorded. It will be available soon on the Sonoma Master Gardeners YouTube channel, along with many other interesting presentations. This talk is another in an ongoing collaboration between Sonoma County Master Gardeners Program and the Sonoma County Regional Library. For many years, each branch in the library system hosted garden talks throughout the year on a wide variety of topics for the home gardener. The talks promote the Master Gardener's ethos of sustainability and science-based information. However, since COVID-19, like so many other organizations, we have switched to this online format and are pleased to be continuing this collaboration with the library system. We also encourage you to explore our website and Facebook page and learn more about the University of California's Master Gardener program. We have resources available to help you with your gardens and information on how you could become a Master Gardener here in Sonoma County. Please check our website for an application for the new class. It will be available at the end of June. Before we get started with the presentation, if for any reason your Zoom connection drops, just click on the link again and you could get back in. If you have questions, we ask that you submit it through the Q&A box. You can submit questions at any time. Our presenter will answer your questions at the end of the presentation. And finally, just a reminder, we are recording this presentation. Our presentation today is all about native oaks by April Lynch. April is a native Californian who joined the Master Gardeners in 2009. Her interests include native oaks, wildflowers, vegetable gardening, and home orchards. She is a photographer and an award-winning artist and has co-authored and published a guide to identifying the wildflowers of Northern California, wine country. This presentation, all about native oaks, was prepared by April over a period of 12 years. She has photographed more than 150 high-definition, colorful pictures of scenery and oaks found in Sonoma County. And now I will hand it over to April.
Thank you, Bonnie, Cleo, and Kim. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. When I first became interested in native oaks, I was familiar with only two, the black oak and the valley oak pictured here. I was impressed that there are over 20 species in California, not to mention various varieties and hybrids. I soon learned that it helps to know where to look for them. Oaks are amazing trees, having marvelous adaptations to their environment from sea level to 9,000 feet in Northern California. I begin with a short lesson in taxonomy, then move on to the features all oaks have in common. There are 8 oaks in my photo album to show today, one of which is a hybrid tree and another is an oak shrub. Finally, I will show you how to do your own online research. There is a list of resources and Living Amongst the Oaks, a UCA in our publications, you can download from the question and answer box. I hope this presentation will increase your appreciation for these beautiful and fascinating trees. This is the Master Gardener's mission statement. The UC Master Gardener program of Sonoma County provides environmentally sustainable, science-based horticultural information to all of Sonoma County's home gardeners. We strive for diversity and inclusion in all aspects of our organization. Oaks are the epitome of sustainability. As a keystone species, a species that plays a critical role in its ecosystem, oaks keep forests healthy by maintaining a rich mix of plants, insects, birds, animals, and organisms wherever they grow. As a source of food and habitat, they're especially important for wildlife. Mature oaks do not require water in the summertime and should not be watered in our landscaping unless there is severe drought. Additionally, oaks can provide shade in the summertime and block cold winds in the wintertime, thereby reducing energy costs. Not all of us have space for an oak tree in our garden, but many of us have rural properties which can support the expansive area an oak tree needs. Regardless, we can all learn to be good stewards of our precious oaks and protect them for future generations. Here's our overview, and it's divided into 4 parts. The evolutionary lineages of California oaks. All true oaks share the same unique characteristics. Our photo album with 8 native oaks, and how to conduct your own research. Here are the main taxonomic ranks of Quercus, the oaks. Worldwide, there are over 500 species of oaks, so taxonomists have arranged the genus Quercus into 2 subgenera, Cercis and Quercus, and further into 8 sections. Each section or lineage has its own distinctive set of leaf, acorn, bark, and wood characteristics. The characteristics are often useful when identifying oaks, but more importantly, they reveal differences in genetic heritage. Each heritage is preserved because cross-pollination between species in different lineages does not produce offspring. You will find the native oaks of California in the last 3 sections here, highlighted in red. The oaks in the sections are then further divided into genus and specific epithet. Together, these 2 names are called species. At the bottom left corner, you see the California native oak leaf and acorn, a member of Lobate, the red oaks. California black oaks is the common name, and following is Quercus callagii, the species name. Sometimes you will see the abbreviated author's name following the species name, and in this case, it's Newberry. In California, there are 21 species of native oaks, and in Sonoma County, we commonly find 9. All true oaks share the same unique characteristics. This is a shoot of a coastline oak. Notice the dormant lateral buds that are clustered just below the terminal bud at the tip, and the alternate spiral arrangement of leaves. Oaks have both male and female flowers on the same tree. They are wind pollinated, but in spite of this fact, oaks set fruit usually only when another individual of the same species exists in the vicinity and can serve as a pollen donor. In the spring, oaks develop male flowers called catkins. When the catkins dry, the wind distributes the pollen to female flowers of nearby trees. Reproduction is most successful when pollen from one tree makes its way to female flowers of another tree of the same species. Sometimes a hybrid oak results when pollen from one species fertilizes the female flower of another closely related species, and a viable seed is produced. This is a tiny female flower of an interior live oak, growing between the leaf and the stem in the leaf axil. Female acorn-producing flowers are scattered singly or in small groups among the youngest growth. Female flowers, once fertilized, develop into acorns. Generally, an oak tree must live at least 20 years before it is mature enough to produce acorns. Once pollinated, the ovary in the female flower produces an acorn. The outer shell or hull provides a barrier between the external environment and the seed within. The acorn facilitates dispersal of the seed away from the parent plant. Some species mature in the first year, like this Oregon white oak. Notice the thick and knobby cup scales, which is characteristic of the white oak's lineage. Acorns vary in shape and size, depending upon the species and also upon the tree's environment, available water, and soil fertility. These are acorns of the California black oak, which mature in the second year. The cups have thin, ragged scales, as all acorns of the red oak lineage. The seed within the acorn contains the embryonic beginnings of a mighty oak, wrapped in a papery coat. The embryo has a very short root, 2 cotyledons that store food for the young seedling, and a shoot apex that will produce stems and leaves. The cotyledons make up most of the embryo because they store all of the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats that the seedling will rely upon after germination until it can produce its own food. This valley oak, a member of the white oak lineage, lived approximately 195 years. And in this crosscut, you can see the growth increments. Valley oaks commonly live 250 years and up to 500 years in the best of conditions. Oak wood is tough and enduring, and every year the tree produces cells, which make up growth increments or growth rings. The light-colored cells are developed in the spring when there's plenty of water. They are surrounded by strong, dark fibers that function almost exclusively as mechanical supporting cells. In the summer, only darker colored fibers fill out the cells of the summer wood. This dark band separates the spring wood developed in successive years. In the past, when I saw a cut tree on the ground, I would think firewood. Now I see an intricate and interconnected system of cells which allow the tree to develop strong wood annually, store and circulate water, sap, and nutrition from the roots to the leaves, and provide structural support to protect the tree from damage due to wind and snow load. The roots are responsible for water and mineral nutrient uptake, mechanical anchoring of the shoot, and storage of biochemicals. An oak's root system is surprisingly shallow, with long, extensive lateral roots spreading out close to the surface, rather than a deeply penetrating taproot. Most roots are found in the upper 2 to 3 feet of the soil. This tree has been undermined by flooding and erosion and is dropping its bark due to the loss of the roots directly below. Heavy traffic or the operation of heavy equipment can cause soil compaction. That is, the spaces between the soil particles become compressed. Since a tree breathes through the exchange of gases that occur within these spaces, compaction will lessen gas exchange, suffocating the tree. Paving prevents many of the same hazards as soil compaction. When the ground is covered with a non-porous material, such as asphalt or concrete, the free passage of moisture, air, and other gases within the root zone is impeded. Porous brick with sand joints, gravel, bark, wood, and mulches provide an attractive ground covering that permits the free passage of water and air. Young oaks are more forgiving to changes in their environment because their root systems are still developing. Once an oak has achieved maturity, it's less likely to tolerate damage and changes, which can lead to loss of vitality and lower its resistance to disease. For more information, see Living Among the Oaks, UCANR publication 21538, which is available for download in the question and answer box. You can also use the QR code on this slide. Tree and shrub oaks can resprout from their root crowns from buds below the soil, and this type of growth is called crown sprouting. Because the root system is already established and there's less competition for sunlight, water, and nutrients, these oaks will grow much faster than those sprouting from an acorn. There are 8 oaks in this album, one of which is a shrub oak, the leather oak, and another is a hybrid oak, the Jawline Oak. It is divided into 3 sections of California oaks. We start with the red oaks, California black oak, coastline oak, and interior live oak. Incidentally, these 3 oaks are susceptible to sudden oak death, a waterborne pathogen commonly known as SOD. This is California black oak, Quercus agrifolia, from section lobate, the red oaks of Northern America, Central America, and Northern South America. California black oak grow away from the coast in deep, fast draining soils, between 100 to 8,000 feet above sea level, on slopes, in valleys, and in evergreen and coniferous woodlands. California black oak can tolerate freezing temperatures and snow load. The leaves are deciduous and are 3 to 8 inches long. The dark green leaves have deeply lobed margins, usually 6, and points at the tips, ending with 1 to 4 soft bristles. Emerging leaves sport a lively magenta color until mature, become beautiful orange and green in the fall until the tree becomes dormant, when they turn brown and fall. The acorns are 1 to 1.5 inches and are oblong and squat with blunt tips. The cups are covered with thin, ragged paper scales that may cover up to 2/3 of the nut. These acorns mature in 18 months. The bark is smooth and gray when young and matures to a very dark gray, almost black color. A reddish coloration can be seen between the narrow, deep, and checkered fissures. These trees can reach 70 to 80 feet at maturity, with ascending limbs and an open, rounded crown. The oldest tree can live over 350 years. The second tree in the album is Coastline Oak, Quercus Agrifolia. Coastline oak live up to 3,000 feet in Northern California, away from salt spray and high winds, on coastal plains and protected bluffs. They do not tolerate frozen ground. Coastline oak leaves are evergreen, never lobed, and 1 to 3 inches long. They are dark green, oval, convex leaves that are thick and leathery. The margins have spines or bristles. The acorns are narrow and cone-shaped and are 3/4 to 1 3/4 inches. The straw-colored cups are covered with thin overlapping scales. These acorns mature in the first year. Notice they are growing at the tips of this year's growth. The young bark is light to dark gray, generally smooth, and darkens with age. Notice the reddish, irregular cracks and fissures in the older wood. Coastline oak grow from 20 to 40 feet tall, but may reach 80 feet. Healthy coastline oak can exceed an age of 250 years. The third tree in the album is interior live oak, Quercus Agrifolia. Interior live oak can be found up to 2,000 feet in Northern California, in chaparral, dry foothills, inland grasslands, and floodplains away from the coast. Their leaves are flat and elliptical and 1 to 3 inches long. They're evergreen and never lobed. The upper surface is dark green and the lower surface is similar or slightly yellow-green and lacking hairs. The margins may be smooth, toothed, spiny, or with short bristles. Interior live oak acorns are narrow, conical shaped, 3/4 to 1 1/2 inches long, and sit deeply in the cups. The cups have thin overlapping scales. The acorns mature in the second year, so look for the bud scale scars that divide last year's growth from this year's growth. The bark is smooth and gray on young trees and becomes darker and fissured with age. Look for a reddish coloration in the bark fissures. Interior live oak are densely branched trees with a full rounded canopy of leaves. Interior live oak can live as long as 200 years. The fourth oak is canyon live oak, Quercus Chrysalepis. It is in section Protobalanus, the canyon live oak and its relatives, found notably in the coast ranges of California. Unless one is introduced, we have only one representative growing naturally in our area. Canyon live oak is also susceptible to sudden oak death. Canyon live oak grow from sea level up to 9,000 feet and are tolerant of freezing temperatures and snow. This tree is found near creeks and drainage swales, growing in moist, cool microhabitats. Excuse me. The leaves are flat, evergreen, thick and leathery, and are never lobed. The upper leaf surface is dark green, while the lower surface is pale blue-green, often with a thick coat of golden or gray hairs. The leaf shape is variable, almost oval, mostly oval to elliptical. Leaf margins can be smooth, spiny, or nearly toothed, all on the same tree. The acorns are broad-based from 1 to 2 inches and develop in the second season. The saucer-shaped cups are thick and corky and are covered with fine golden hairs when the acorns are green. The bark on a young tree is smooth, gray, or whitish. Mature trees have bark that grows checkered and scaly with age. These trees grow 20 to 50 feet tall and have a dense canopy, which seem to have a golden glow in the springtime. The trunk may reach 4 feet across at the base and many times develop multiple trunks. Canyon live oak can live to 300 years. These are oaks from section Quercus, the white oaks of Europe, Asia, and North America. The fifth oak in the presentation is leather oak, Quercus Dorata. All the oak trees in California evolved from shrub oaks. Differing from the oak trees, these short woody perennials develop lower spreading branches. Oak shrubs can grow into stickery, impenetrable masses like these leather oaks. Leather oak grow below 6,000 feet and are generally found in chaparral and foothill woodlands. They are largely confined to soils deriving from serpentine rock. The leaves are evergreen, 3/4 to 1 inch long, and are a dull green on the tops. They are convex and oval shaped. The undersides are pale gray and thickly coated with fine, soft hairs. They can have smooth or prickly toothed margins. The acorns are oval, 1/2 to 1 inch, variable in shape, but often thick and cylindrical. The cup is bowl-shaped and decorated with warty scales. Leather oak acorns mature in the first year. Here we go. Leather oak tends to be small and intricately branched, generally no more than 10 feet. This species is usually found growing in serpentine soil. The blue oak, Quercus douglasii of section Quercus, is the next tree. These trees have marvelous adaptations to their environment. Blue oak habitat. The blue oaks are found from 500 to 2,000 feet. You will see them in hot, dry foothills, gravelly and rocky slopes, and shallow, well-drained soils. The blue oak are normally winter deciduous, dropping their leaves in the fall. However, when water becomes scarce, they become drought deciduous and simply drop their leaves in the summer while the acorns continue to develop on the tree. The leaves are 1 to 3 inches long and have wavy margins, but they can be seen with shallow lobes. Initially, they have a fresh green color in the spring, which turn tough and leathery, a bluish green color in fall. A dusty mat-like coating is confined to the top surface, and the underside of the leaf is pale green. Blue oak acorns are egg-shaped nuts, 3/4 to 1½ inches, with sharply pointed tips. The shallow cups are covered with small, warty scales. These acorns mature in the first year. Blue oak bark is light gray or whitish with narrow, shallow strips. The bark darkens with age and develops a checkered surface. Blue oak are small to medium-sized trees with a maximum height of 60 feet. The trunks are seldom more than 2 feet in diameter. This is the valley oak, Quercus lobata of section Quercus. Valley oak usually are found below 2,000 feet in Northern California, but most commonly at 500 to 800 feet. They prefer deep, rich bottomland soils along stream beds and floodplains, riparian forests, open foothill woodlands, and river valley savannas. The leaves are deciduous, 2 to 4¾ inches long and up to 2 inches across. They have 6 to 10 blunt, deep lobes per leaf. The sinuses extend almost to the midvein. They're matte green above and dull to pale green below with a felt-like covering of hairs. They are 2 to 3-toothed at the tips. The acorns are conical, 1/2 to 2 inches long, and vary greatly. Warty knobs cover the base of deep rounded cups. Valley oak acorns mature in the first season. The younger bark is thin and gray. With age, it develops into a thick, blocky, deeply checkered surface. When mature, valley oaks can have a round and spreading canopy of massive limbs that can grow to 115 feet tall and 130 feet wide. The last tree is a hybrid Jawline oak, Quercus Douglasii cross Quercus lobata. When an area of distribution of two related oak species of oaks overlap, sometimes you will see a hybrid oak. As you remember, oaks are pollinated by the wind. So when a single tree of one species is overwhelmed by the pollen of nearby oaks of a different species of the same lineage, a viable oak may be produced. Sometimes it's hard to tell if a tree is a hybrid because it will have the characteristics of only one parent tree. And other times it will have intermediate characteristics of both parents. This is a hybrid of a blue oak and valley oak called the Jawline oak. This tree is growing at the Peter J. Shields Oak Grove on the UC Davis campus in Davis, California. Jawline oak is found growing from 500 to 2,000 feet in Northern California in deep soils. It can tolerate freezing temperatures and hot, dry summers. The Jawline oak leaf at the far right is an intermediate shape of the blue and valley oak leaves. The left picture is the reverse side of the leaves of Jawline oak, and the right one is the top surface. Jawline oaks usually have the lobed leaves of valley oak, but are bluish in color, and occasionally one of the entire leaves of blue oak occurs. The acorns are the size and shape of valley oak or blue oak, or a combination of the both. Jawline oak bark darkens with age and develops a checkered surface. It has the drooping, spreading limbs of the valley oak, and the large branches in the canopy have the upward reach of the blue oak. This ends the photo album section of this presentation. Here are several online sites where you can conduct your own research. This is CalFlora, all about California native plants. Enter the name of the genus into the search box or the species name and select search. Oh, by the way, over here, you can choose which county you're in. I usually just search with any. I've selected search, so all of the Quercus in California have queued up here. I'm going to search for Quercus Agrifolia. At the first screen, you can see the plant range. They show the California map, and each one of these little dots is an observation someone has entered. There's the bloom period and plant characteristics. Associated organisms. The Jepsen Herbarium is a little more difficult to use unless you have a good botanical vocabulary. So let's search Quercus. Again, you'll come up with the first screen, your list of California Quercus. And here is all your scientific data, including some photographs. These photographs are showing you the variety, the two varieties of Quercus agrifolia in California. Okay. And finally, the USDA plants database. You can search for plants across the United States. And in this site, you'll see plants, all of the Quercus across the United States. As you can see, California live oak only grows in California. There is a really good plant guide you can download here. And I used this when I was propagating some California live oak. This is 2 pages of resources where I have used information about oaks. This first page of resources are online resources you can use. And if you're interested in taxonomy, Thomas Denk and others have the most recent changes in Quercus as of 2017, if you're interested in that kind of thing. The first 2 resources on this page, Oaks in the Urban Landscape and Oaks of California, are 2 excellent paperback books. And I know that the Oaks of California is available at the Sonoma County Library. Brought to you by the Master Gardeners of Sonoma County. We are a nonprofit volunteer organization. If you'd like to support our work in presenting more educational opportunities to residential gardeners, go to our website, http://ucanr.edu/sites/scmg/. And now I'm turning the meeting back over to Bonnie.
Thank you, April, for such an informative talk and sharing your beautiful photographs with us. We will now answer some questions that have appeared in the Q&A box. If you still have any questions, you've still time to type them and April will answer them for you. So April, the first question I see is, are all white oaks deciduous?
Let me think. Just because a tree is evergreen or deciduous, it does not necessarily put it into a specific line or group. So to answer the question, I'd have to go to my slide. No, I think that there are both deciduous and evergreen oaks in the white oak lineage.
Okay. Another question is, what are the signs to look for that tells us that a tree is not doing well? And should we contact an arborist immediately?
Well, if you think that your tree is not doing well, sometimes the signs are almost too late. You'll notice a loss of vigor in the upper part of the tree, loss of branches and foliage. So hopefully you can save your tree by calling a licensed arborist. The A&R publication that I had included in the chat box will give you answers to those kind of questions. And it basically, you soak the tree not close to the trunk. You don't want to water the base of the tree, but in the drip line, you can go ahead and soak deeply in the drip line a couple of times in the spring and maybe once in the summertime, deeply, not a shallow watering, but a good deep soaking. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, and I think you answered all the questions that are up there right now. 2 new questions just popped up. And someone says that she said, I have a 30-year-old northern red oak and it has never had acorns, but for the first time this spring it produced those catkins. Is my tree just a late bloomer? You said it should be both male and female.
Well, the oak trees do the best when there are 2 in the vicinity because the pollen from one tree is blown by the wind to a neighboring tree. And usually I've read varying resources, but pollen will go about 200 yards from the other tree to pollinate your tree. So it's possible that your tree self-pollinated itself and produced a few acorns. But they do the best. They do the best when there is a neighboring tree of the same lineage.
And another question is, can we start acorns in pots and transplant, or do we have to start them in the ground?
I have my own little project going on the back porch, and I collected acorns. And the best thing to do is in the fall, collect acorns in your neighborhood, because these trees are sort of have developed to with the adaptations from your particular area. And you start them you can put them in a pot, but make sure they're very deep pots up to 15 inches to give that emerging root in the springtime room. And once they have developed a good system of leaves, you can pot them up into larger pots. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting for the fall when my white oaks, which are deciduous, when they drop the leaves, then I will put them in the ground and they can become established over the winter time. Because we have sudden oak death in Sonoma County, I would recommend, if you are going to start your own acorns, that you choose white oaks, unless you live in an area where you don't see any infected trees.
Okay, thank you. Another question asks, which oaks are deciduous?
Okay. We have the California black oak and the Oregon white oak, the valley oak. And those are the ones that are in Sonoma County. Of course, statewide, there's quite a list.
Okay. I think that wraps up all of the questions. Okay. So thank you, April. We will have this talk posted on our YouTube channel shortly, so that you can go back and view April's colorful photos of scenery and oaks in Sonoma County at any time. Just want to mention some upcoming events that you might be interested in. Every second Tuesday of the month, our food gardening specialists hold a Veggie Happening Zoom session. This features a presentation on seasonal food gardening topics and sometimes a panel discussion with the master gardeners, food gardening specialists. The next one will be on Tuesday, July 13th at 12:30. You do need to register, and the link will be on the Master Gardeners website. And on Wednesday, June 23rd at 12:30, we will host our monthly Ask a Master Gardener session. This monthly session takes the place of our information tables that many of you have seen at our local farmer markets. And we are very excited to be offering this new feature and hope you will join us and bring your questions. Again, you must register on the link, which is on our website. And our next Zoom talk session will be July 10th. And that will be on habitat gardening by William Klausing. And the registration will be on our website closer to the date. And then on October 9th, William will be doing another talk on native trees of the North Bay. But keep checking our website for the information on when we will be returning to in-person library talks, farmers markets, and our information desk. And we have provided a number of resources and links for today's topic. We just want to remind you that you can find many of these resources online through the Sonoma County Regional Library. Okay. Thank you. That's about it for our presentation today. Thank you again, April, for the great talk. And thanks for all of you for joining us today. We hope to see you again at another Master Gardeners event.
My pleasure. Thank you all for coming.
Mm-hmm.